Hello, my name is Gautam Kanapurthy. Today I want to talk to you briefly about how the dynamic nature of the modern websites creates a challenge for IT security teams. So if going back a few years, if you were to look at most websites, these are not SaaS applications but general websites that you would access on a day-to-day basis, they were mostly static. You could go to a news site, it was mostly loading static content versus an application like Salesforce, which is more dynamic and driven by APIs. But over the last few years, as we've all observed, even a simple website has now taken an API-first approach and is a lot more dynamic than what it used to be a few years ago. As an example, if you were to go to CNN today and look at all the transactions in the backend, there's connections to CDN networks, there's connections to third-party plugins such as Facebook, Twitter, there's connections to analytics tools, there's connections to ad services, there's connections to private APIs of CNN to load their content, and some other third-party chat applications as well. So if you're an IT security guy looking at a web gateway and looking at your user traffic through the web gateway, what you see effectively based on one page request is anywhere between 50 and 100, and in some cases a lot more connections that are being logged. So you see 100 different log lines, but it's very challenging to actually understand what the user actually did. So if you are a security guy and the HR team approaches you and asks you, what did this particular user actually do? It is a really challenging effort to generate that report. So most customers I've talked to say they've spent hours digging through the logs to actually identify user activity, and even in that case they weren't really confident whether the user activity they reported was accurate or not. So this is a challenge that we've looked at, and what we've done at Netskope is used our patented technology called Netskope Cloud XT. And Cloud XT fundamentally solves this problem because we look at all these different transactions going on in the backend, but we have a way to synthesize the traffic and actually identify what the user activity was. So for example, a traditional SWG would generally see all these different connections. With Netskope Cloud Security Platform, what you would actually see is one visit to CNN.com, and you would see the username. You would see the device information, you would see the source, you would see the destination, which is CNN, and also some geolocation information. In addition, you would see how many transactions actually happen in the back end. So as a security analyst, I could look at this right away and say, user X went to CNN.com, and as a result there were 150 transactions that were triggered in the back end. So if now I can very easily answer the question, what did the user actually do? In this case, they visited the homepage of CNN without having to dig through all the logs or build any custom reporting. I now have the answer right away thanks to Cloud XT.